Okay, I think we're
Yep.
recording.
Okay.
So, um, hey everybody. We did Brady Wines Heights Bullet Academy for our program evaluation. So it's not letting me click. Let me see. Oh, there you go. So the program is called Bullet Academy. This program is run by Miss Marcela Acosta. So originally she was an elementary school teacher and an early childhood coordinator for 20 years before becoming the leader of the Bullet Academy program. She's the only person who is currently running the program, but she wishes to get some help in the future as it continues to grow. The program was developed because Brandywine School District knew how important the first years of life are regarding education and parent involvement. At first, they were denied, and then they went back to the drawing board and went to different schools to evaluate them and see what they did differently. And then re they re-put it up back for the district and they approved it. It's still in its early phase, but it's growing constantly. And at first she was unaware of the position, of course, after being a teacher, but she's grown to love it and everything. But what's great about this program is that it is funded through the school district, so that's really amazing. The program's main goals are to empower parents to be their child's first teacher, build family connections between the children, the parents, and the school districts, and to provide tools for parents as their child grows. The target population for the program is birth to 5. So she made sure to emphasize that this is not a daycare. The parents have to physically be there to be involved in their children's education. They can't just drop them off and leave. They can't, just stay there for 5 minutes. They have to be involved throughout the whole time. Since the program is newer, Ms. Acosta is developing her curriculum as she goes, so there is a lot of trial and error, but she has a background as an elementary school teacher, so this helps her. Um, she tracks the effectiveness of the program with attendance. However, we believe that as the program grows, she may have to go back to the drawing board to figure out how to better track these outcomes because, like I said, there's a lot of people in the school district, so she's gonna have to know how effective is it. It is as it continues. So there are obviously many strengths to this program. It's obviously an amazing program, but some of the strengths that we realized that she said to us was that there's a lot of different activities that she addresses for different learners, and it reaches various developmental levels because, like we said, it's birth to 5, so it's obviously very different depending on how old you are. So the program provides things such as story time, and then she has activities related to the story, play and learn, open gym, which is the physical time for students to interact with other students, kinder music, which we thought was amazing. It's a holistic approach to early childhood education to like integrate music, movement, language, social interaction, and stuff like that. And then outside activities such as yoga, part time, and sometimes she tries to make sure she goes into the community and do career development. So I know recently, well, when we did the interview, she talked about going to like the fire department and like showing them how like how what they do there and all that. So but although the program has a lot to offer and it's amazing, there's still a struggle to get the families to attend the actual program and to be physically there. There are 182 families in the district, and only about 15 families constantly show up to like the programs that she has. She does have open communication with the families, and she sends monthly like emails and everything to make sure that they're involved, but she still has trouble with getting people actually physically there. So, although this program is considered successful, there's always room for improvement. Mrs. Acosta hopes to get a bigger classroom and potentially another like instructor and aide to help out in the classroom as the program gets bigger because it's only in its second year and she feels like, she's probably getting overwhelmed with all like the stuff that she has to do. So, yeah, and she also, like most schools, like classroom is like kind of like having a set classroom for stuff is kind of a problem. So she hopes to have a set classroom and to get a permanent one. The one she has now is like small, or sometimes she goes in a library because that classroom's taken. So she hopes to get a permanent one soon. Overall, it is an amazing program. The main problem would be like lack of attendance from the families in the school district. Which we're finding that may have to do with like the hours that she's doing the programs. So yeah.
Okay, so that was just like an overview of the interview that we did with her, and now I'm gonna give like a little introduction to our actual program evaluation of the Bullet Academy. So after our evaluation of the Brandywine Heights Elementary Bullet Academy program, it shows that there's like a clear desire for more two-way communication opportunities between parents and the program instructor, Mrs. Acosta, as well as opportunities for more parent to parent and family to family connections. Um, so collaboration and activity and active participation from a child's parent or guardian in their education and development has become an essential component of their success, we've found. And the recommendation of incorporating these parent instructor meetings into the Bullet Academy program at Brandywine Heights Elementary will aim to bridge the gap between the families in the community by creating this consistent two-way communication opportunity between the parents and Mrs. Acosta. So the goal of the parent instructor meetings is to enhance parental engagement and communication of needs, as I said before, by providing structured monthly meetings that will be offered both on weekday and weekend dates at various times. This new program will aim to accommodate the differing needs of families, while also creating a space to express concerns and interests, as well as to connect with other families and parents in the community. So the specific program recommended, as I just kind of went over, are parent instructor meetings. So this would be a forum for parents to ask questions and share experiences with the program and Mrs. Acosta. And this would hopefully build rapport with the families. And the meetings will touch on concerns expressed in the survey that we conducted, as well as some of the concerns that we already know from the interview with Mrs. Acosta that she shared with us. And these would be convenient event times for working parents or even parents who work on the weekends versus the weekdays. A desire for more connection between parents and families was mentioned. Also, a variety of programs offered because the age range is from birth to 5 years old. That's kind of a big age range. So having various programs for the different age groups. And then as well as better ways to communicate that will increase participation. So outreach to these families and how we can get them more involved with the program so that they are showing up to the events. Okay, that's good for that slide. And then some of the logistics of the parent instructor meetings that we discussed were the proposed schedule of the meetings. So we said that this would take place on the first Tuesday of each month from around 6:30, 7:30 p.m. So about an hour or another convenient time for working parents. So through these meetings, we are going to find out what time does work for the parents the best. So these times could change depending on that. But to start with, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. is our proposed time. We said that the meeting would aim to reach the parents who are unable to attend during the weekend. And then there would also be another meeting option held on the second Saturday of each month around 2 to 3 p.m. Again, differing depending on what's discussed in the meetings. And this would hopefully allow parents time in the afternoon while avoiding the busy morning hours. And then we also said this will hopefully reach parents who have more flexibility on the weekends. So kind of giving those two options for parents to be able to show up and then kind of adjust those times as feedback is given. So the meetings will be held at Brandywine Heights Elementary School and Mrs. Acosta's classroom that she's currently in. Yeah, let's give her that one. And then for the meeting agenda breakdown, it would begin with a welcome and introduction by Mrs. Acosta. So since this is like a new implemented program, the meetings are just kind of giving an overview of what they will like the purpose that they will serve and what the kind of goal of them would be. And then she would give like a program overview. So this would include current goals and updates for the program. And then after that, we would go into a Q&A and parent discussion. This would be like an open floor style discussion for parents to share experiences and ask questions. And then we could do an optional breakout discussion for parents to share in smaller groups. Some parents may feel more comfortable sharing with other parents versus on a large open floor in front of the instructor, just giving like a different option. So this would focus on different aspects of the program and their personal experiences with it. And then to conclude the meeting, she would just give like a closing and next steps, share any additional insights, and recap the meeting, and then kind of the steps moving forward. And for these meetings, there would be minimal to no cost depending on Mrs. Acosta's preferences. So she could provide snacks, refreshments if she desires, and then also printed materials, handouts probably be provided through the school. And so since through the interview, there weren't like any like huge issues that were specific that were coming up on our survey or in our interview with her. So these meetings kind of are just like a well-rounded program to implement to kind of touch on all of the small different areas for growth. So next, moving into the short and long-term SMART goals for these parent instructor meetings. So the first short-term goal that we came up with would be to increase parent participation in monthly parent instructor meetings by 25% within the next 3 months. And so this is specific because it increased the number of parents attending monthly parent meetings, measurable by tracking attendance at each meeting and compare numbers with various months. With previous months. Achievable, this could be done by sending out reminders, making meetings more interactive, and engaging with the parents via email before and after the meetings. It's relevant because engaging parents helps create a stronger community and support the success of students. And then for timely, we said achieve a 25% increase in participation by the end of the third meeting, so within 3 months. And then for the second short-term goal, we came up with surveying the parents and identify an optimal meeting time that accommodates at least 80% of the Bullitt Academy families within the next 2 months. So like we said, we kind of set the times already, and then those can kind of be altered through survey to find out what will work for the future for the parents. And without talking to them, Mrs. Acosta won't know what will work best for them. So that's kind of the purpose of this one. So she'll conduct a survey to gather input from parents on their preferred meeting times, weekday versus weekend, evening versus afternoon or mornings, and then collect and analyze the survey responses to determine the most suitable meeting time. And then for the first long-term SMART goal that we came up with was to increase the number of parent-to-parent interactions within the Bullitt Academy community by 40% over the next 18 months. And this would be through the organized instructor parent meetings. This was something that also came up on the survey, was wanting parents to interact and get to know other parents and families in the district through the program. So continuing to organize these meetings monthly, which will provide for opportunities for parents to connect with each other. And then our second long-term goal is to boost parent participation in the existing Bullitt Academy events outside of the parent instructor meetings. Also could be including them, but the other various programs that she offers by 50% over the next 12 months. So she would track event attendance rates and compare with previous participation to measure the increase. Okay, so for measuring the effectiveness of the program, this can be done by attendance and participation data, tracking these to determine if the outreach and scheduling are effective and inclusive for the families. So she would track how parents and children are attending parent instructor meetings on the weekdays versus the weekends, and then participating in events slash programs that she offers as well. And some tools to do this that she could use and make it simple would be sign-in sheets, event participation logs, that kind of thing. And then another way to measure the effectiveness of the parent instructor meetings would be to conduct surveys and feedback forms. So she could collect regular feedback from parents on communication, meeting content, scheduling, sense of community, Those could be like the things that would be surveyed. And then also to measure the effectiveness, she could focus on goal tracking. So tracking those SMART goals, the progress with those that I mentioned in the previous slide. Okay, so for evidence-based intervention, the idea of the parent-instructor meetings that the idea is that they will allow for more communication between the program coordinator and the child participants' parents. And we found that this is supported by an article that found through a meta-analysis of 37 studies that students consistently perform better academically when their parents are involved in their education. The article suggested that parent engagement, like helping with homework, attending school events, or communicating with teachers, can significantly boost student achievement. So with this being said, establishing this parent involvement and communication earlier on, even before the child begins elementary school, so like this program, could be crucial in setting their child up for success. So this opportunity is provided through the parent instructor meetings. And then another journal article that we looked into suggests that balanced parental involvement, where there is active engagement without excessive strictness, creates a space for better educational outcomes for children. And then this contributes down the line to successful completion of high school. So while the Bullitt Academy program begins before elementary school, early contributions from parents do play a big role in their development down the line. And so for the ethical considerations, we talked about informed consent being one of the considerations. We said that parents should be fully informed about the purpose and expectations of these parent-instructor meetings, especially if we are going to be collecting data in the form of surveys, feedback, anything like that. And then we did find that according to the American Psychological Association, informed consent is a cornerstone of ethical practice, especially in educational interventions. So programs must clearly outline goals, data usage, and privacy protections. That's something to definitely keep in mind with this kind of program. We also talked about access and equity being an ethical consideration. The program should be accessible to all parents and families, including those with limited time, transportation, internet access, and language barriers. And these are some of the things that can be addressed and discussed in these parent instructor meetings, making sure that families have transportation, making sure that the times are working out for them, those kinds of things. And then this is why the program meetings will be offered at different times and days of the week to begin that initial connection with the families. And then for cultural considerations, we said that it would be important to make sure we are respecting diverse families. Not all families define parent involvement in the same way. There are cultural differences that may influence how parents engage with schools, instructors, and or like social events and meetings. So this is just something to keep in mind. Not every family is the same, yet we still want to be able to find ways to reach all of those different families. And then another cultural consideration to take into account would be language barriers. So parents and families who are non-English speakers may feel excluded from communication, meetings, and or programs unless services are available to bridge this gap. So this is something that Mrs. Acosta can also be looking into and making sure she's being inclusive in that way as well. And then we'll move on to our program evaluation reflection. Ash, if you want to start with that.
So yeah, so this wasn't our first option, but I feel like it was our best option, honestly. So like nobody was answering us at first, or if they were, they couldn't do it. We were waiting some time. We were, it was a lot, but she answered us and she answered us effectively, actually. Emailed back and forth between Sid and CCing me on it. Um, and then we had the interview and it was just amazing. She seemed really happy about doing this and like interviewing with us and giving us answers that we needed. Like I said, like it was really good. So I was glad that she answered. Like that she kind of saved us, she saved the grade. But like I said, we got all the questions and then we, did the interview question. I mean, we did the questions for the survey and we sent it out And we thought that she sent it out already because it was like a couple days and stuff like that. But she didn't. She like sent it to her principal, and we had to go through like a couple days of going back and forth between the principal and her, and figuring out like they're figuring out like why we were sending it. And she has every right to ask why we're sending it and stuff like that. But they were perfectly fine with it. They love the idea. They want to see our needs assessment, so we sent it out to them and everything like that. So we were worried about that, and we were also worried about the number that we were gonna get. She said that only 14 to 15 people usually answer or usually come to the stuff. And we were like nobody's gonna answer. I think like the first couple of days nobody answered, and we checked back like literally like the Friday before it was due, and it was like 26 and 20, and it just keeps going up. So right now we have 38. But with SurveyMonkey, it's the free trial is only 25, so we can't see all the data, which I think sucks because I feel like the more input, the more it would been able to help us like help them in a way. Like, yeah, we got what we needed from the majority, and it wasn't like any bad feedback, but I wish that we could see all of it to help them because like if you can't see all of it, it kind of feels like it wasn't a full survey, and like it could have helped us with the action plan a little bit better. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like Ash said, we explored many options that didn't work out before finding her program to evaluate. And although this program is not necessarily a school counseling based program, it does focus on areas that are related to school counseling, such as social emotional development and preparation for academic achievement. And I felt like the interview went really well with Mrs. Acosta. She was very open and honest about the program and its successes, as well as areas for improvement, which gave us kind of like a head start on determining what areas we would be tailoring our action plan toward. It also allowed us to put together a survey that felt like it would hit on potential parent areas of concern. I almost wish there were a few more problems with the program because it kind of made it very broad when there were just like a few little concerns here and there through the survey and through our interview. It was kind of hard to focus in on one area. And that's why we kind of came up with the parent instructor meetings, because it was kind of like an open forum to discuss all of the little things that were going on, to have a more well-rounded program. Um, as far as areas for improvement for us with this assignment, I think we definitely could have been more specific with Mrs. Acosta about our due dates and deadlines, and when we would need her to have the survey sent out by and when we would close them by. She was very accommodating, but I think being clear about that probably would have taken a little bit less stress off of us. And because of the late start to the surveys being sent out, we did anticipate a lot less responses, like Ash said, than we got, which was 38. So that was a pleasant surprise. The only downside to this, like Ash said too, was we could only view the first 25 responses with the free version of SurveyMonkey. And I think that seeing all those responses may have changed our course of action if we ended up having more feedback for specific areas of concern that might have kind of highlighted them a little bit more, making us focus in on that single area more. But we still got 25 responses, which was great. And I would say that our overall experience with the program evaluation was positive, and Mrs. Acosta was very helpful throughout the whole thing. So I'd say it went pretty well.
I do want to like add that maybe we could have, if we would have done it over again, like I love that SurveyMonkey is free and it's stuff like that, but I wish that maybe there was another way that we could have done this, like a Google Forms or something, that could have also collected data that was like anonymous, because I think like the main reason was that we had to keep it like confidential. So I wish there was like another way that we could have done it. Like that's the only thing that I would take back. Like I would love to see the
The
all
other
38
response.
responses, yeah. So
And Ms. Acosta said the same thing when we were talking about the survey results. She would have wished she would have been able to like see all of the responses and hear from all of the families too, because I think that would change how she proceeds moving forward as well.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think we're good. Our references, yep, are on the next slide. And then, yeah, thank you.
of course. Stop.